to put down Henry's coal. But first, he had to raise Spencer on the hoist. It was all too much for Kevin.
Oh, dear, boss. Thomas.
Don't worry, Kevin. I'm in charge.
Then there was trouble. Kevin reeled and rolled back towards the hoist. And with a biff and a bash, he hit a big green button. That made Spencer shudder into the air.
Trembling tracks, what's happening?
Kevin gasped.
Heaving hooks. Sorry, Spencer.
Then Kevin dropped Henry's coal right in front of Henry's nose.
Bust my boiler and crashing coals.
Kevin rocked and rolled into James.
Mind my shiny red paintwork.
James was so upset, he blew the biggest puff of steam he had ever blown. All over Victor. Victor had just arrived from the transfer yards. Now, he was covered from buffer to buffer in twigs, soot, and straw. Victor's wheels wobbled and his steam stuttered.
Sizzling Sodor! What has happened to my beautiful steamworks?
Thomas looked at Victor, and then at the mess and the muddle.
Cinders and ashes. This is all my fault.
No, boss. I mean, Thomas, I'm sure it's my fault. I'm sorry, boss. I did try to say, boss.
No, Kevin. It's not your fault. I didn't listen to Victor. I didn't listen to you. And I didn't listen to my friends. I was too excited. Too silly.
I think, my friend, you are right. What will you do now?
I'm sorry to all of you. Now I'll listen to you, and I'll make sure you're all fixed properly.
So, Victor and Thomas went first to Spencer.
I don't need checking from wheels to whistle. I need new paint for my scuffs and scratches.
This time, Thomas listened.
Don't worry, Spencer. You'll be sparkling silver in no time.
That made Spencer very happy. Next, Victor and Thomas talked to Henry.
I have my special coal, but there's something wrong with my firebox. It makes me wheeze and sneeze.
Don't worry, Henry. Your firebox will be clean. You won't wheeze and sneeze anymore.
And Thomas was right.
Pumping pistons. No more wheezes and sneezes. That's much better.
Lastly, Victor and Thomas listened to James.
I don't need a new funnel. I need my old funnel cleaned and polished.
James, you will have the most perfectly polished funnel on Sodor.
Oh,
James's funnel was shining like the sun. James smiled from fender to footplate. Soon, all the engines were fixed. They were ready to be really useful again.
Well done, my friend. Time to go home.
Not quite, Victor. It's time to say thank you to Kevin.
anytime, boss. I mean, Thomas.
And everyone laughed and laughed and laughed. The Lion of Sodor. It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor. The sky was blue and the sun was shining bright. Thomas was chuffing cheerfully to Brendam Docks. He felt very happy. Thomas had to collect a special, but he didn't know what it was.
Hello, Cranky. Is my special ready?
Yes, it is. The mayor is waiting for it at Knapford. You must puff very carefully.
Thomas was puzzled.
What is it, Cranky?
It's the Lion of Sodor.
Cinders and ashes. How exciting! I promise to take extra special care of it. I've never carried a real live lion before.
When Cranky heard this, he was surprised.
No, Thomas, the Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas was too excited to listen to Cranky. He was already puffing proudly out of the docks. Thomas puffed happily along. Then he met Henry.
special.
It's a lion.
Bust my buffers! That's exciting! I only have sticky syrup to deliver.
Suddenly, an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
I promised to take extra special care of my lion. I think he might really like sticky syrup. Could I have some for him, Henry?
Of course.
Thomas's engineer poured some sticky syrup into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Henry. I have to hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Henry was surprised.
Fizzling fireboxes! Thomas has made a mistake! Stop, Thomas! The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Next, Thomas met Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Flatten my funnel. How exciting. I only have to deliver fresh fish.
I think my lion would really like fresh fish. May I have some for him, Edward?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some fresh fish into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Edward. I must hurry now. The mayor is waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Edward was surprised.
Clattering coaches. Stop, Thomas. The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Then Thomas saw Toby.
Hello, Thomas. You look happy. What's your special?
It's a lion.
Buff my boiler. How exciting. I only have straw in my freight cars.
I'm sure my lion would really like some soft straw to lie on. May I have some for him, Toby?
Of course.
So Thomas's driver put some soft straw into the lion's crate.
Thank you, Toby. I really have to hurry. The mayor will be waiting for the Lion of Sodor.
Toby was surprised.
Uh-oh. Trembling trucks. Stop, Thomas. The Lion of Sodor isn't a...
But Thomas didn't stop, and he didn't listen. Thomas's pistons pumped and his wheels whirred. He couldn't wait to deliver his lion. He chuffed his hardest and raced on towards Knapford Station. At last, Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford. Sir Topham Hatt was there. So were the other engines.
I'm very excited, Thomas.
This is a big day. The Lion of Sodor is here.
Thomas was uncoupled from the flatbed, and he pulled away to join the other engines. The workmen carefully opened the lion's crate. Sodor wasn't a real lion at all. It was a statue. And now it was covered in sticky syrup, fresh fish, and straw. Sir Topham Hatt was cross.
Thomas, this is a terrible mess.
Gordon and James laughed, and Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I thought I had a real lion in my crate. I wanted to take extra special care of it. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue.
So Sir Topham Hatt told Thomas all about the Lion of Sodor, and the other engines listened carefully.
So you see, Thomas, it was the most famous statue on Sodor. Then in Rome, this is the shiny new statue we have been waiting for. The mayor is coming at tea time, and now look at it.
I'll make sure it's clean, sir. I promise the Lion of Sodor will be shiny and new again in no time.
Very well, Thomas.
Thomas still felt very silly.
Cheer up, Thomas. I didn't know the Lion of Sodor was a statue either.
It all happened a long, long time ago. Not many engines remember that time. We tried to tell you, but you didn't stop.
I'm sorry, Henry. I should have listened. Now I must hurry. I must get the Lion of Sodor cleaned right away.
Why don't you take it to the washdown?
This time, Thomas listened.
What a good idea. Thank you, Henry.
Thomas was coupled to the flatbed and he chuffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the washdown. Soon, the sticky mess was washed off.
That looks much better, Thomas.
But now the statue isn't shiny.
Take it to the Steamworks, Thomas. They'll polish it until it sparkles and shines.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Edward. That's a very good idea. Victor will know just what to do.
And Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas took the Lion of Sodor to the Steamworks. Workmen polished the statue until it shined and sparkled, just as Edward had said.
The Lion of Sodor looks much better now, Thomas.
But it's nearly tea time. The mayor will soon be at Knapford, and it's a long way.
Take the track by the windmill. That'll get you there in time.
This time, Thomas listened.
Thank you, Toby. That's a good idea.
Thomas took the shortcut past the windmill. He huffed and puffed as fast as his pistons could pump towards Knapford. Children cheered and passengers waved as Thomas chuffed by. Everyone wanted to see the Lion of Sodor, and everyone wanted Thomas to stop.
I can't stop now. I mustn't be late. The mayor will be at Knapford, and he won't wait.
And Thomas whooshed on his way. Thomas puffed proudly into Knapford Station. The mayor had just arrived. He was delighted to see the new Lion of Sodor. The statue shined and sparkled in the sun.
Well done, Thomas. This is the finest statue I've ever seen. And the cleanest!
Everyone cheered. And Thomas smiled from footplate to fender. Henry's good deeds. There are lots of beautiful birds on the island of Sodor. The engines know their names and their songs. One day, the engines were especially excited. A new bird had been seen on the island. Sir Topham Hatt arrived at Tidmouth Sheds. He had important news.
The Sodor Warbler has arrived back on the island. Very few people have ever seen this bird, so a lot of visitors will be coming to our island. You will all be very busy taking them to spot the bird. Remember your passenger cars at all times, and remember not to frighten the warbler.
Henry was worried for the warbler.
Do you think the Sodor Warbler will be scared of engines?
No, Henry, not if you're really useful, and I need you to be really useful.
Yes, sir.
You must deliver a nesting pole to Bluff's Cove.
Percy was puzzled.
What's a nesting pole? It's a tall pole with a shelf on top. Birds build their nests on it.
Percy liked this idea.
Do you understand, Henry?
Yes, sir. I will deliver the pole straight away.
Good. We hope the Sodor Warbler will make its home here once more.
That's a very exciting special, Henry.
Henry was happy. He puffed away proudly. Later, Henry clickety-clacked along the track. Ahead, he could see Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle. Thomas had stopped.
That's strange.
Henry chuffed slowly up to Thomas.
Is anything wrong, Thomas?
No, Henry. I'm letting Farmer McCall cross with his sheep.
Henry could see the sheep tripping and tapping across the tracks.
Thomas, you helped me. That's a good deed. Well done.
You're welcome, Farmer McCall.
Thomas chuffed away cheerfully. Henry puffed and puzzled.
I would like to help someone. They will call it a good deed, and they will say, "Well done, Henry."
This made Henry feel very happy.
I'm sure I can deliver the nesting pole and do good deeds.
So Henry huffed happily on. Soon, Henry saw Farmer Trotter's pink pigs. They were snuffling and sniffing sadly at the side of the track.
Those pigs don't look very happy.
Then, Henry saw that the pigs were looking at the muddy field on the other side of the tracks.
I know what's wrong. Those pigs want to roll in the muddy field. If I stop here, those pigs can cross safely. They won't be scared anymore.
So, Henry stopped, and the pigs tripped and trotted across the tracks. Soon, the pigs weren't pink anymore. They were brown, muddy, and very happy. Farmer Trotter wasn't happy at all.
I wanted pink pigs to take to the county fair.
Henry was sorry.
Oh dear, Farmer Trotter is cross. I didn't help at all.
Suddenly, an idea flew into Henry's funnel.
I'll reverse back down the track. Then the pigs will have more room to cross.
Henry pumped his pistons. His wheels whirred. He puffed steam and he chuffed backwards.
This should help, Farmer Trotter.
But it didn't help. The pigs were scared by Henry's steam and the whir of his wheels. They scattered and clattered into the apple crates. The apples rolled everywhere. This made the pigs very happy. They munched and scrunched the rosy red apples. But now they wouldn't move from the tracks. That made Farmer Trotter even more cross.
Bust my buffers. My idea wasn't a good deed at all.
Just then, Thomas puffed up on the down line. Annie and Clarabelle were full of visitors to see the Sodor Warbler.
Cinders and ashes. How am I going to puff through? The Sodor Warbler has been spotted in the Fenland fields. I'm in a hurry.
I'm sorry, Thomas. I was trying to help Farmer Trotter. I'm sure I can help you. I'll take your visitors to the Fenland field. We'll be there in good time.
Thomas thought this was a good idea.
Thank you, Henry.
The visitors were surprised. They stepped and scurried through the pigs to Henry's passenger car. Henry felt pleased.
I'm sure this is a good deed, and I'm sure I still have time to deliver the nesting pole.
Henry puffed and huffed his hardest all the way to the Fenland fields.
Here we are. Watch out for the warbler.
The visitors were very excited. They opened the carriage doors carefully. They didn't want to scare the Sodor Warbler away. Henry felt very happy.
At last, I've been helpful. I've done a good deed.
Henry tooted a loud goodbye. Then there was trouble. A colorful bird flapped and flew from a tree high into the sky and away. It was the Sodor Warbler. The visitors moaned and groaned.
Fizzling fireboxes. The bird was scared of my loud whistle.
Henry steamed sadly away.
I wanted to help the pigs. I wanted to help Farmer Trotter. I wanted to help the visitors. But I haven't helped anybody. I've done no good deeds. And I haven't delivered the nesting pole.
Henry felt terrible. Henry huffed towards Bluff's Cove. He had to deliver the nesting pole.
I don't think anyone is ever going to say, "Well done, Henry," to me.
Henry waited at a junction. His wheels wobbled with worry.
Now I'm sure I'll be late with the nesting pole. Sir Topham Hatt will be cross with me. Oh dear, oh dear.
Suddenly, a colorful bird flew from a tree. Henry was too sad to smile at the bird. The bird landed on Henry's buffer.
At least I can give that bird a rest and a ride.
So, Henry and the beautiful bird chuffed on towards Bluff's Cove. Henry puffed to the halt. A lot of visitors were waiting. They were hoping to see the Sodor Warbler.
I hope they'll be pleased that I have delivered the nesting pole.
But the visitors weren't just pleased. They were amazed. They smiled and pointed and took out their cameras. Henry was surprised.
Oh, the visitors seem very pleased to see me. I can't think why. After all, no one has said, "Well done, Henry."
Well done, Henry. You have brought the Sodor Warbler to us. Hooray for Henry!
Henry blinked and blushed.
The bird I carried on my buffer was the Sodor Warbler.
Then Thomas arrived with more visitors.
Well done, Henry.
Henry was so proud, his firebox fizzed and his boiler bubbled.
And this time, I wasn't even trying to do a good deed.
Soon the nesting pole was up. The Sodor Warbler looked snug and sleepy in its nest at the top.
I think our friend likes its new home. Welcome home, Mr. Warbler.
And well done, Henry.
The early bird. On the island of Sodor, all of the engines on Sir Topham Hatt's railroad are busy. Gordon pulls the express. Percy delivers the mail. And Thomas puffs and shoves cheerfully on his branch line. One morning, Thomas's fireman fanned his firebox ready for work. Thomas saw that his best friend Percy wasn't there.
Good morning, James. Have you seen Percy?
No, I have too much to do to see Percy.
Then, Sir Topham Hatt arrived.
Thomas, Percy has popped a piston. He has to go to the steamworks to be fixed. Percy won't be able to deliver the mail tomorrow morning. You must do it for him.
Thomas was excited. He had never delivered the mail before. He tooted his whistle loudly.
Yes, sir. I've always wanted to deliver the mail.
Make sure you do a good job, Thomas.
Of course I will, sir. Don't worry, sir.
Then, Thomas puffed proudly away to his branch line. Thomas stopped at a crossroad. Gordon was there.
Percy is being fixed. Tomorrow, I'm going to deliver the mail run for him.
Percy's mail run? Have you asked Percy how to do it?
Don't worry, Gordon. I know all about delivering the mail.
Do you indeed?
Then the gate opened, and Thomas puffed quickly away. Thomas worked hard all day. That night, he went to see Percy at the steamworks. Percy didn't look happy.
Is your piston fixed, Percy? No, it's still broken.
Don't worry. I'm going to do your mail run tomorrow.
Thank you, Thomas. Shall I tell you what to do?
I know what to do, Percy. Now, we have to go to sleep. We'll be up very early.
Well, if you're sure, Thomas.
Very sure, Percy. I have to go back to Tidmouth now. I need lots of sleep. Goodbye.
Percy watched as Thomas chuffed away. The next morning, Thomas woke up very early. He felt very proud to be pulling the mail trucks. There wasn't a peep to be heard as Thomas chuffed across the island. Everyone was fast asleep. First, Thomas puffed to the quarry.
I must let the quarry manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was excited. He blew his whistle very loudly. And then he chuffed cheerfully away. Thomas hadn't seen that his loud whistle had woken up neighbors.
Who's making that noise?
Next, Thomas chuffed to the docks.
I must let the dock manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was excited. He blew his whistle even louder. And then he chuffed cheerfully away. What Thomas hadn't seen was that his good morning whistle had woken Cranky up.
Who woke me up?
This is fun!
Lastly, Thomas steamed into the steamworks.
I must let the Steamworks manager know that the mail is here.
Thomas was so excited, he blew his whistle louder than ever.
Oh.
And then he huffed happily away. What Thomas hadn't seen was that he had woken Victor and Kevin up.
What's that noise, boss?
Who knows, Kevin? Who knows? Some early bird.
Thomas worked hard all morning. Everywhere Thomas went, he blew his whistle loudly.
Delivering the mail is fun!
Soon, Thomas had delivered all the mail. It was time for him to puff back to Tidmouth Sheds for a rest. As Thomas passed through the quarry, he saw Mavis. Her freight cars were being loaded with slate. Then there was trouble. Mavis hadn't lined up her freight cars under the hopper. Slate spilled everywhere.
That's strange. Mavis never makes mistakes.
What Thomas didn't see was that Mavis was fast asleep under the hopper. That's why she had put the freight cars in the wrong place. Next, Thomas passed through the docks. Cranky was unloading some big crates from a ship. Then there was trouble. Cranky dropped the crates. They fell to the ground with a smash and a crash.
That's strange. Cranky never makes mistakes.
What Thomas didn't see was that Cranky had fallen fast asleep. That's why he had dropped the crates. Thomas pulled into Tidmouth Sheds. He wanted to tell Percy all about the mail delivery, but Percy wasn't there. Sir Topham Hatt was there. He was cross.
Someone woke Mavis up too early by tooting too loudly on their whistle. Then someone woke up Cranky at the docks and Victor at the steamworks. Now they have all made silly mistakes.
Thomas knew he had woken everyone up with his cheerful whistle. He felt terrible.
I'm very sorry, sir. It was me.
Then, Thomas, as Percy is still not fixed, you must do a better job tomorrow.
I will, sir. I promise, sir.
Then Gordon arrived. He had heard all about Thomas's trouble with the mail run.
You were right, Gordon. Delivering the mail is a hard job. I should have asked Percy what to do. And this time, I will.
That evening, Thomas visited Percy at the steamworks. He asked him all about delivering the mail, and Percy told him all about being quiet. The next morning, Thomas set off early, pulling the mail cars. He stopped at the quarry. This time, he didn't blow his whistle. He puffed very quietly so that he didn't wake Mavis. Next, Thomas stopped at the docks. He didn't blow his whistle here either. And he didn't wake Cranky up. Lastly, Thomas puffed into the steamworks. He dropped off the mail, and he didn't blow his whistle once. Victor stayed fast asleep. But Percy had woken up early to see his best friend Thomas.
Well done, Thomas. You did everything right. Thank you, Percy. Now I know the most important thing about delivering the mail. You have to do it quietly.
Percy was so happy for his friend that he wanted to toot out loud. Then he looked at Thomas. Thomas had fallen fast asleep.
Sleep well, Thomas.
And Thomas snored the sleep of an engine who had done a very good job. Fuzzy Bees. It was a fine summer morning on the island of Sodor. The sun was shining, the birds sang. The flowers bloomed, and Thomas clickety-clacked along the track to Brendam Docks. Thomas's good friend Hero was unloading at Brendam Docks.
Good morning, Hero. Sir Topham Hatt tells me I have a special today for Farmer Trotter.
Good morning, my friend. Yes, you do. Look.
Thomas gasped.
Black my funnel. They look like small white wooden houses. Who lives in them?
Bees, my good friend. Lots and lots of bees. Their houses are called hives. Inside the hives, the bees are very busy making honey.
This made Thomas excited.
Sir Topham Hatt always has honey on his crumpets. I'll puff as fast as I can to deliver the beehives to Farmer Trotter.
Suddenly, Hero was stern.
Thomas, chop slowly and smoothly. Take the truck through the woods. Then the bees will rest. You have to look after bees very carefully.
Don't worry, Hero. I will. They'll be happy with me.
Hero smiled.
Very well. I have to deliver these crates. Then I must pick up some flowers from Farmer McCall. I will visit the bees when I've finished.
Hero steamed slowly away. Thomas was coupled up to the beehives.
Off we go, bees.
Thomas puffed proudly to a junction. Ahead, he saw the track through the woods. The other track ran past a field, full of flowers and bright sunshine.
The field with flowers is much prettier than the woods. I'm sure the bees would like that better.
So, Thomas didn't take the track through the wood as Hero had told him to. Thomas huffed happily along.
Buzzy bees are busy bees, and busy bees make honey. Buzzy bees are happy bees when it's warm and sunny.
Suddenly, there was a buzzing and a bizzing. Thomas applied his brakes.
Bust my buffers, what's that?
Thomas looked over to the field. His bees were everywhere. They buzzed busily, flying from flower to flower. Thomas was surprised.
No. Come back, bees! Come back to your hives!
The bees weren't listening to Thomas. They were too busy buzzing in the field. Thomas tried again.
Please come back, bees. We'll be late for Farmer Trotter.
But still, the bees weren't listening to Thomas.
Fizzling fireboxes. I can't take the beehives to Farmer Trotter empty.
Then, an idea flew into Thomas's funnel.
The bees like flowers. I will chuff my hardest to Farmer McCall's and pick up the flatbed of flowers. Then, the bees will buzz around my flowers and back to their hives.
So, Thomas was uncoupled from his flatbed. Then he steamed swiftly away. Thomas arrived at Farmer McCall's farm. He saw the flatbed of flowers.
I'm sure Hero won't mind if I borrow his flowers. I'll bring them back as soon as the bees are in their hives again.
And Thomas puffed happily back to the field. The bees were still buzzing busily from flower to flower in the field. Then they saw Thomas's flowery flatbed. The buzzy bees left the field and buzzed all around Thomas. They flew into his funnel. They buzzed his boiler and whizzed his wheels.
Trembling tracks! This flatbed of flowers wasn't a good idea. Go away, bees, please! Buzz into your hives and make honey.
But the bees weren't listening to Thomas. They were too busy buzzing.
I must race like the wind. Then maybe the bees will be blown off my buffers and fly back to their hives.
So Thomas pumped his pistons and raced away. But the bees didn't mind the wind on their wings. They flew round Thomas like a buzzing cloud. Thomas chuffed and puffed to a siding.
Very well, bees. If you won't leave me, I will leave you.
Thomas was uncoupled from his flatbed of flowers, and he clickety-clacked away down the track.
Now the buzzy bees won't bother me. They're too busy making honey for Sir Topham Hatt's tea.
Thomas chuffed to a junction. Hero was there. Thomas was surprised to see his friend.
Hello, Hero. You look puzzled.
I am Thomas. Farmer McCall's flowers have disappeared, and you have still not delivered the bees to Farmer Trotter. He's waiting and worried.
Thomas looked at his wise friend Hero. He hadn't looked after the bees. He hadn't looked after their hives, and he hadn't taken the woodland track. But he had taken Hero's flowers.
Hero, I have been very silly. I have been everything you told me not to be. But now, I will do everything you told me to do. Please wait for me here. I will bring you back your flowers.
Thomas's wheels started to whir, and his boiler started to bubble. Thomas had a lot to do. Thomas puffed back to the flatbed of flowers. The bees were still buzzing, but Thomas didn't mind.
Follow me, bees. I'll take you back to your hives.
And Thomas wheeshed away to the flatbed of beehives.
Farmer Trotter is waiting for you, bees. You will like living on his farm.
Then Thomas chuffed carefully away and took the track through the woods. The woods were deep and dark. The bees felt cold.
It's time to go home, all you busy bees. It's time to make honey in the shade of the trees.
And the busy bees buzzed into their hives. Farmer Trotter was waiting for Thomas. He was very pleased to see his new beehives.
Thank you, Thomas. But why have you brought me all those flowers?
They're not for you, Farmer Trotter. Hero is waiting for these. I must hurry.
Thomas pumped his pistons and puffed down the track. Hero was waiting for Thomas.
So, my good friend, here are my flowers.
I'm sorry, Hero. You will be late, I know. But from these flowers, Farmer Trotter will have the best honey on Sodor.
The two friends smiled. It had been a very busy, buzzy day. Double trouble. All the engines were very excited. They chuffed cheerfully and chattered as they clattered along the tracks. Today was Sir Topham Hatt's birthday, and there was to be the grandest birthday party on Sodor. Thomas had a very special. He was to pick up Sir Topham Hatt and Lady Hatt for the party. As Thomas approached Maithwaite Station, he gasped. Ahead, he could see Sir Topham Hatt already on the platform.
Cinders and ashes, I must be late.
Thomas pulled into the station. He was worried.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought I was early.
Sir Topham Hatt turned around. Thomas gasped. Sir Topham Hatt had a mustache. Thomas was so surprised he nearly popped a piston.
Thomas, my good friend, you're looking perfectly polished today.
Thank you, sir.
Sir Topham Hatt chuckled so loudly his top hat wobbled. Thomas was puzzled. Sir Topham Hatt never chuckled so loudly that his top hat wobbled. And Sir Topham Hatt never called Thomas his good friend.
I know, Thomas. Let's go to the Whispering Woods. It's one of my favorite spots. We have plenty of time before the party. All aboard!
Now Thomas was even more puzzled. He wanted to ask about Sir Topham Hatt's new mustache and why he was acting so strangely. But Thomas didn't want to look silly, so he decided not to ask. Thomas pulled away from Maithwaite Station and chuffed towards the Whispering Woods. Thomas puffed up to the Whispering Woods. Edward was there. Edward had brought children to visit the woods. Then he was to take them to the party.
Hello, Edward.
Hello, Thomas. You look worried.
Thomas was worried, but before he could explain, Sir Topham Hatt climbed down.
Marvelous! What fun!
Please, sir. We can't stay long. The children mustn't be late for the party.
Oh, party smarty, Thomas. We have plenty of time. You worry too much.
And Sir Topham Hatt strode off.
Hello, children. Who'd like a game of hide and seek?
Did Sir Topham Hatt say a game of hide and seek?
Yes, he did.
And Thomas's wheels wobbled with worry. Sir Topham Hatt played hide and seek for a long time. He was very happy. So were the children. Edward was puzzled.
Sir Topham Hatt never plays hide and seek.
I know.
What's that on his face?
A mustache. It just appeared. Today, Sir Topham Hatt doesn't seem like Sir Topham Hatt at all.
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt came back. Thomas wanted to ask him if he was feeling all right, but he didn't want to look silly. Thomas knew that silly engines weren't really useful engines, so he didn't ask any questions.
We must hurry now, sir. We'll be late.
And so will the children.
But Sir Topham Hatt wasn't worried.
Don't hurry the children, Edward. Let them play.
Edward was so surprised his boiler bubbled. Then Sir Topham Hatt jumped aboard Annie and waved to all the children. Thomas's wheels clickety-clacked. He puffed and he huffed along the track. He knew they were late for the party. Thomas stopped at the junction. Suddenly, Sir Topham Hatt jumped out of Annie and climbed up to the signal box.
I won't be a moment, Thomas.
Thomas was amazed. So was the signalman. Sir Topham Hatt never came into the signal box.
Hello there. May I have a turn?
Thomas looked up. He saw Sir Topham Hatt pull a lever. Then Thomas heard Gordon's whistle.
Cinders and ashes. Here comes Gordon.
Gordon had all the important visitors aboard the Express. He was taking them to the party. With a clang and a clatter, the points changed. Gordon and the Express were no longer on the Express track. They were now on a branch line heading away from the party. Thomas heard Sir Topham Hatt whoop for joy.
Hooray!
Visible fireboxes. We must ask Sir Topham Hatt why he's being so strange.
But when Sir Topham Hatt came down from the signal box, Thomas didn't say anything. He still didn't want to look silly.
What fun! All aboard, Thomas!
Thomas raced towards me. Lady Hatt would be waiting. They were very late. Thomas was worried.
First, Sir Topham Hatt had a mustache. Next, he wanted to play hide and seek with the children. Then he seemed to play all the Express line and away from the party. Sir Topham Hatt is acting very strangely to me.
Thomas puffed into Mayfield. The station master was cross.
Thomas, you're late. Sir Thomas and Lady Hatt had to go to the party and Bertie the bus. But Bertie hasn't arrived at the party. Neither are the children or the very important visitors.
Thomas was puzzled.
If Sir Topham Hatt is on Birdie, then who's on board Annie?
Just then, Thomas's passenger stepped up. Thomas knew he had to ask a question he hadn't asked before, even if he looked silly.
Excuse me, Sir Topham. You don't quite seem yourself today. Is everything all right?
Thomas's passenger beamed brightly.
Yes, Thomas, but I'm not Sir Topham Hatt. I'm Sir Lowell Hatt, Sir Topham's brother.
Thomas was amazed. That explained everything, but he wished now that he had asked this question earlier. Now there was no time to waste if he wanted to be a really useful engine.
Birdie must have broken down. We must find him right away.
Sir Topham Hatt's brother was very excited.
Hooray! Another game of hide and seek!
Now Thomas was stern.
No, Sir Lola. I have to work hard and quickly. Otherwise, your brother's party will be spoiled.
So Loam boarded Annie, and Thomas puffed away. Thomas found Birdie the bus. Smoke billowed from his engine. Birdie looked very unhappy. So did Sir Topham and Lady Hat.
Thomas, where have you been?
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt's brother stepped down from Annie. Sir Topham Hatt sighed.
Oh no, Lord. Have you been up to your old tricks again? Absolutely right, Tom. I've been having a wonderful time with Thomas.
Sir Topham Hatt didn't think this was funny at all.
Loam, you have caused confusion and delay. We must hurry.
Thomas delivered Sir Topham Hatt, his brother, and Lady Hat to the party, just in time. The party looked grand. But Thomas couldn't stay. He had work to do. First, Thomas trucked to the Whispering Woods. Edward was very happy to see Thomas.
Go straight to the party with the children. Sir Topham Hatt is waiting. It was his brother, Sir Loam, who was playing hide and seek.
Next, Thomas found Gordon. Gordon was huffing and puffing as slowly as a snail down a rickety branch line.
Hurry, Gordon, to the next express line. Race like a rocket to the party.
That made Gordon very happy. At last, Thomas chuffed back to the party. Edward and Gordon were already there.
What a wonderful party.
And it was. Everyone was laughing. Then Thomas and his friends heard something very extraordinary. Sir Topham Hatt chuckled even louder than his brother. And that made Thomas happiest of all. Thomas and the pigs. There are lots and lots of farms on the island of Sodor. There are farms with sheep. There are farms with cows. There are farms with goats. Thomas liked visiting all the farms. But his favorite farm of all was Farmer Trotter's pig farm. Thomas liked their curly tails and the funny noises they made. Thomas liked to visit Farmer Trotter's pig farm as often as he could. One day, Thomas was watching the pigs roll in the mud. Farmer Trotter was happy to see Thomas.
Hello, Farmer Trotter.
Hello, Thomas. I have some very special news. One of my pigs is going to have piglets today.
Thomas was excited.
I can't wait to see them.
I need some soft straw for the piglets. I'd like you to go to Farmer McCall's right now to collect it. He will be waiting for you.
Thomas was happy to help.
Yes, Farmer Trotter.
So Thomas chuffed cheerfully away with his empty flatbed. On his way to Farmer McCall's, Thomas thought about the pigs.
I'm sure the piglets will like the soft straw. I wonder if there's anything else they like.
Thomas puffed up to the dairy. He saw Percy. Thomas told Percy all about the piglets.
How exciting! I wish I could see them, but I have to deliver this milk.
Thomas looked at the milk churns. An idea flew into his funnel.
I'm sure the piglets would like some milk. May I have some?
Of course you can, Thomas.
So the milk churns were loaded onto Thomas's flatbed.
Thank you, Percy. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And he steamed away. Thomas felt pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw James. James was at an orchard. The trees were full of juicy red apples.
Hello, James.
Hello, Thomas.
Thomas told James all about the piglets.
The piglets will soon be born. I must collect some soft straw for them.
I wish I could see the piglets, but I have to deliver these boxes of apples to the village.
Thomas looked at the juicy red apples.
I'm sure the piglets would like some juicy red apples. May I have some?
Of course you can.
So, Thomas's flatbed was loaded with lots and lots of juicy red apples.
Thank you, James. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
Thomas chuffed quickly away. He felt very pleased.
I wonder what else the piglets might like.
Then Thomas saw some children. They were collecting shiny brown chestnuts.
Hello.
Thomas told the children all about the piglets. They were very excited.
I'm sure the piglets would like some shiny brown chestnuts to eat. Please, may I have some for them?
The children were delighted to give Thomas some of their shiny brown chestnuts.
Thank you. I must go. Farmer McCall is waiting for me.
And Thomas puffed away. He felt even more pleased. At last, Thomas chuffed to Farmer McColl's farm. Farmer McColl was waiting. He was cross.
Thomas, you're late. Where have you been?
I'm sorry, Farmer McCall. I stopped to collect some milk, some juicy red apples, and some shiny brown chestnuts for the piglets.
Farmer McColl looked at Thomas's flatbed. He saw the milk, the juicy red apples, and shiny brown chestnuts.
Your flatbed is full. You have no room for straw now.
Fizzling fireboxes. Didn't think about that. I hope the piglets will like the milk, the apples, and the chestnuts just as much as straw. I must puff straight back to Farmer Trotter's. The piglets will be born soon.
So Thomas pumped his pistons and chuffed quickly away. Thomas pulled up at the farm. Farmer Trotter was waiting. He looked at Thomas's full flatbed. He was surprised.
Thomas, where's the soft straw?
I thought the piglets would like these things just as much as straw.
No, Thomas. Piglets need soft straw, and they're about to be born.
Thomas felt very silly.
I'm sorry. I'll empty my flatbed, then I'll puff back to Farmer McCall as fast as I can. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. The piglets will need it by the end of the day.
Thomas saw Percy at the water tower.
Thomas, I know something else the piglets would like. I'm sorry, Percy. I can't stop. Bye, Thomas. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Next, Thomas saw James at a junction.
Hello, Thomas. I've been thinking about the piglets. I'm sure they'd like...
I'm sorry, James. I can't stop. I must get the straw. There can be no delay. I've no time for chatter along the way.
Thomas whooshed and he wheeshed. He huffed and he puffed until he arrived at Farmer McColl's farm. It was late.
Hello, Farmer McCall. Now I have plenty of room for the soft straw for the piglets. Could you load it right now?
Of course I can, Thomas.
Thank you, Farmer McCall. I must hurry.
Thomas's pistons pumped and his axles ached.
I must puff fast. There's no time to delay. The piglets need straw by the end of the day.
At last, Thomas arrived at Farmer Trotter's pig farm. It was now nearly nighttime. Thomas saw that the pigs had gone.
Cinders and ashes. I'm too late.
You're just in time, Thomas. I need that soft straw right away.
Farmer Trotter unloaded the straw from Thomas's flatbed, and he took it away to make a nice soft bed for the piglets.
The piglets have just been born.
Thomas was delighted.
Bubbling boilers. Look how small they are and how sweet.
Thomas could see the piglets really liked the soft straw.
Aw, that little piglet is looking at me.
I think I'll call him Thomas.
Thomas was so happy. His axles tingled and his boiler bubbled. A blooming mess. It was a special day on the island of Sodor. Knapford Station was going to be decorated. All the engines were very busy and very excited. Sir Topham Hatt was at Tidmouth Sheds.
Knapford Station is being decorated. There are lots of jobs to do. Thomas, you must go to the quarry and collect slate for the new roof.
Yes, sir.
Emily, you must go to Maithwaite Station and collect the flowers for the new window boxes.
Flowers? How lovely! I know all about flowers. I know that buttercups are yellow.
Emily! And then, take them to Knapford Station.
Yes, sir.
Emily puffed happily to Maithwaite Station. She passed Toby. Toby was delivering wood for Knapford's new floors.
Hello, Toby.
Hello, Emily.
Then Emily passed James. James was delivering pots of paint to paint Knapford's new walls.
Hello, James.
Good morning, Emily.
Emily puffed up to a junction. Mavis was on the bridge above.
Hello, Mavis.
But Mavis didn't say hello to Emily. Emily was surprised.
Mavis? Mavis! Hello?
Mavis still didn't say hello to Emily. Emily wondered what was wrong with Mavis.
I know what's wrong. Mavis must be feeling sad today.
At Maithwaite Station, Emily buffered up to the flatbed of flowers.
There are a lot of different flowers here, Emily.
Emily knew the names of all the flowers, but she didn't say a word. She was thinking about Mavis. She wanted to make Mavis happy. Then, an idea flew into her funnel.
I'm sure flowers would make Mavis happy. I have lots of them. I can leave some of them at the quarry for Mavis.
So, Emily didn't puff straight to Knapford Station with the flowers. She took the track to the quarry instead. Emily huffed happily into the quarry. She couldn't see Mavis anywhere.
I know. I'll decorate the quarry with flowers. That will make Mavis very happy when she comes back.
Emily looked for a place to put some flowers.
This is the perfect place. Mavis will see the flowers here as soon as she arrives.
Emily felt very pleased with herself.
Now, I must find somewhere else to put some more flowers.
Emily looked around. She didn't see Edward puff into the quarry behind her, but she did hear the loud crash.
Fizzling fireboxes! What was that?
Edward had crashed straight into the flatbed of flowers and rolled towards the hopper.
Edward, look out! Those flowers are going to make Mavis happy.
Pardon?
Edward was confused.
I'm sure flowers by the hopper would make Mavis happy. The hopper's so gray and dusty.
Emily felt even more pleased with herself.
Now, I must find somewhere else to put some more flowers.
Emily looked around. She didn't see Thomas reverse towards the hopper behind her, but she did hear the loud crash.
Bubbling boilers! What was that?
Cinders and ashes!
Bust my bumpers!
Watch out for the flowers! They're going to make Mavis happy!
At that moment, Mavis pulled into the quarry.
Whatever has happened?
Emily looked at Mavis. Mavis wasn't happy. She was very upset.
What has happened to my quarry? And what are those flowers doing here?
Emily gasped.
Flowers haven't made Mavis happy. The quarry is in a terrible mess. And it's all my fault.
Emily chuffed up to Mavis.
You didn't say hello today, so I thought you were sad. I brought the flowers because I wanted to make you happy.
Mavis sighed.
I wasn't sad. I didn't say hello because I was thinking about all the jobs I had to do today.
Emily felt very silly.
I wish I had asked if you were sad. Then I wouldn't have brought the flowers and the quarry wouldn't be in a terrible mess.
Mavis looked at the mess. She looked very sad. Emily wanted to think of a way to make Mavis happy. And now she knew she had